I wish I met you further along. Gave you my older heart, still and strong. But I wouldn't have a fight like a
I'm gonna put it there.
Aww.
So, today would have been a good day for that yard sale.
What are you talking about?
You should look out the window.
conquer the street. From your eyes to the soles of your feet. Made my body.
See if I can find some weed. Like, I'm just gonna go. And she's like, fine, whatever. So I'm like looking around and I hear this out in the distance. I hear this lady go, mushroom chocolate, ganja brownies. And I was like, yes, I fucking found it. And I had cash on me. So I run over and I'm like, how much for the ganja brownies? In the car, we're driving back to the hotel. And she looks at me and she goes, we're tripping right now. And I was like, the fuck are you talking about? Like, I bought us ganja brownies. We're just really high. And she's like, no, dude. Like, you don't understand. We're tripping on mushrooms. And all of a sudden, it hit me. Mushroom, chocolate, ganja brownies was all one thing.
Nothing on my tendency to be led astray.
Bright enough? I can open the window.
Perfect. It's perfect. I like how dramatic you just came in. You know? It was like, this is where I live. Look how much style I have. And this is Julia.
I'm like, why is it not bright enough in here though? Right?
I think it's good.
Like there's like light, but there's, because I thought if I opened the window, it would be like harsh. You know how
Right.
sometimes that direct light is like too much.
Right.
Tell me if it seems dark.
I think it's great. I think you're good, Julia. I think you're good. But yeah, let me look at that. The very delightful Julia Pels, relaxed in her house. Look at that. Look at that furniture. It's perfect. It's great.
I'm Greek. I'm picky. I'm like my Greek mother. She always just liked things a certain way. She dressed a certain way. Our whole culture was like that, though. All my yayas, which means grandmother in Greek, and my aunts, they all wore that same, really intense perfume, and they kind of all had the same decor. I think it's a cultural thing.
Right. So that's
Greeks are
amazing.
dramatic. We're dramatic.
It's perfect. It's like, in Chicago, big Greek family. It's wonderful.
Except
Right.
I stay away from that liquor. That
Mm.
stuff is hard. That's hard out. It's not tasty.
No. What's that? The ouzo it's called?
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh, God. All right,
It's like
Julia.
a bad. It's not like, how tequila can, to most people, like, this is kind of tasty.
Yeah.
Ouzo is not like it. To me, I think to like my Greek aunts,
Right.
they'd be like, yeah, this is great. But I'm like,
Yeah.
but I'm
I
not
know
a-
what you mean.
I'm
I
not
know
a-
what you mean. Because with tequila, the handful of times I've had it, it hasn't ended well in my life. It's like I'm 0 for 7, basically. So I'm done,
I always have one too many with the tequila. So I stopped because there was one time that there were so many that I was hungover for at least a day after, if not like 2 days. It was in
Right.
college.
Right.
I always like to say we're all a little stupid in college.
Well, and you went to Ohio University, right?
Oh, Ohio, University of Ohio in Athens, not Ohio
Yeah.
State. And yes,
No.
yep.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
In the rolling hills of the Appalachian Mountains.
Correct. Beale Street, all that stuff. The number one party school in America, Ohio University. Yeah.
It's
Okay.
It's not where I finished, but
It's not where you finished.
no,
Okay.
it is. I went back home to Chicago when I graduated from Columbia College Chicago, which is the third best film school in the nation. I think now it's pretty prestigious, but at the time, I don't even think I was. I was more focused on cultural studies, in theater, because when we're in Chicago, I didn't really think that I was going to come out to LA and want to act in movies or films or I didn't know.
Absolutely.
It wasn't like something that I always knew that I wanted to entertain people because I had done it from such a young age. When
Right.
people say to me,
You
like,
started when you were 3 years old, right?
the modeling,
The modeling, yeah.
and they would sit me, and I mean, I would have to be, sorry, I'm always drinking the Starbucks. I should have put it in a better spot. This doesn't bode well for an interview. Here, I've placed it in a better
It's all
spot.
good.
with
By the
my-
way, let me take a quick detour and like introduce you to my audience because I feel
Yes,
like I've known you
before we
forever.
jump in, I
But-
forgot. We're just
No.
having a party by ourselves.
Right, but listen, Julia, she's a stand-up comedian, very renowned storyteller. She's an actress, she's a model, she's an activist, big part, very good activist. Easily one of the best follows that people can have on Instagram, @queercomedian. And on juliapels.com, you can find out more information. But look, she's amazing. You know, I mean, Elizabeth Banks in her website, Woohaha, named her one of the funniest, LGBTQ comedians in the country. The list goes on and on. And I have to say, Julia, it's not just the funny posts you do. I think I told you this before because I started following you, I think, because of the comedy. But there's a lot of laughs. But in between the laughs, you'll hit people with some Carl Jung shit that is like, oh my God, what's the meaning of my fucking existence? And it's like, it's great. You're like the best follow. So welcome, Julia.
That's the kindest thing you could say. You know, I do get, it's really nice because especially in this day and age of social media, you also get the opposite of people who love you and who think you're great. You get a lot of haters. And that's something I never had to deal with because, like, you know, I was such a nice kid. And in high school, even though I was popular and I was a cheerleader, like I always was friends with everybody. So it's so
Right.
weird to be put in this position that you kind of asked for, right? Like, oh, I want to be in the public light. You have public photos and people know about your life, but you forget not everyone's going to like you if you're being genuine.
Right.
And that's something, and I'm going to be totally transparent with you, that is something that's been so hard for me. And I bet my haters are like, yes, but it really has, because I am like a Care Bear. I'm like, let's everybody have fun and be happy. And that's not to say I haven't made mistakes or screwed up or been a jerk to people, but like in general, my true essence is kind of like, well, we can figure it out. We're people, we're different, but hey, let's get it, you know. And I didn't realize that not everybody is gonna like being positive, or if you do stand up for yourself and set boundaries. I didn't realize that people would attack you for that. Had no idea my whole life, because I'd just been like, anything you want me to be. And part of that was from being a model. It's something, you're 3 years old and you've got adults sitting you down and there's bobby pins in my hair and they're putting on makeup and you're just, that's what you do. So I feel you've probably heard this from the big ones like Taylor Swift and Britney Spears, and not to compare myself, but they say the same thing. I was taught to be a good girl. And that's exactly right. I was taught, you know, to be, you're respectful to authority, you're respectful to elders, you're respectful to every race, religion. You don't talk, you know, nastily about people. You don't gossip. You apologize to yourself for your own, you know, as my father would say, sins. I wouldn't necessarily say that, but, you know, I was raised a certain way and to really have a good moral compass. And then I almost became a psychologist. So I studied.
Really?
Yes.
And you would have been a really good one now that I think about it.
Well, that's probably where you're kind of getting that attraction. You're like, I like the funny, but she's got the serious, and the serious comes in their mental health. You know, there were mental health issues in my family. I speak pretty publicly about that and my own mental health struggles as well. And I don't think that that's something to be ashamed of or hide from. And a lot of people are embarrassed to say, I've struggled with mental health, because somehow that makes you crazy or not as lovable, or weak or not as insightful. When in reality, see, that's the light I was looking for. It just hit me finally after 15 minutes. But like, I think that transparency for me, you know, I came into the public light knowing that everything would be public. And so I'm really honest about, you know, most things. Of course, you want to keep some stuff private because it's your private life. But in general, you can find stories about me, you know, all kinds of crazy stuff. So it's out there. And I love comedy. I think the hardest thing, like I said, was, you know, being brought up to be this good girl who made everyone happy, and to not have everyone in the world love you, which is just an impossible feat, has been something that has been hard for me. Or if people have gossiped or tried to defame me, just like it happens to famous people every day, but I take it in and I just get so sad because I'm just that sensitive, person. But I've learned through like energy work, EMDR is really great for any trauma you've been through. I work with a lot of therapists because I almost became one, and I know how imperative it is to keep a healthy mind, because you can't do comedy, you can't do podcasts, as I'm sure you know. You look pretty structured over there. You got your nice picture, you're pretty clean. I can see you got something, you got a good feng shui happening. So I'm
trying.
We try to do things right to like.
Yeah,
it's
hard. It's hard.
In this, I mean,
it doesn't come easy. It doesn't come easy, right?
Not today, and not today's age, especially with the politics. That can be a whole psychological thing in and of itself. So I think I try to, in my comedy, yes, make jokes mostly about myself and my family. I usually don't really talk about other people. And I think the funny stuff for me came out of that need, and I didn't even realize I was funny. People always said it to me and I rejected it. Like, don't call me a funny lady. Funny ladies aren't sexy. Funny ladies aren't pretty, or they're not smart, or they're not, like I had all these terrible stereotypes about funny ladies. And then as I matured in my 30s and got older, I embraced this thing. People would be like, God, you remind me of this actor or this girl on SNL or this. And they would constantly say, you're so funny, you're so funny. And I rejected it until one day I said, you know what? I'm just going to go do an open mic. And it was like, I'm home.
Really?
Home.
It was just natural fit?
It was Julia Uncensored. I mean, I couldn't have asked for a better platform.
Because you were always like, kind of like maybe like a little bit in a cage, right? Of course, your coming out stories, it's legendary, and maybe we'll talk about that later. But like, you always felt maybe like restrained, correct?
Yes.
Right.
Restrained in a lot of ways, because I had to be a certain weight, or I had to look a certain way, or I had to, there was a lot growing up in my culture, and also where we grew up. We grew up in the South suburbs. It was very diverse in terms of ethnicity, in terms of religion, extremely diverse. We did not grow up in some whitewashed community, a lot of immigrants. My mom was a first generation Greek immigrant. So it was a melting pot in Chicago. That being said, there was different socioeconomic groups as well. So it wasn't just like, oh, well, it's diverse within this wealthy population. No.
Right. It wasn't just Wrigleyville every Sunday. Let's go catch the Cubs, right?
Right. Yeah. No. Right. And so I felt like it was very a good place for a kid to grow up. I mean, I remember in high school, I said to my mom, Mom, and I think I was 16.
Yeah.
And I said, why aren't the Black kids and the white kids sitting together? This is in the 90s, mid 90s. That tells you how old I am. Like, what's going on? And I said, is there somewhere I can go to talk about the fact that I feel like there's some racism or some tension happening?
Your first brushes of activism right there. Yeah.
You nailed it. And my mom went, what in God's name? And she goes, well, Jeannie told me. My mom was very well connected socially. And she said, Jeannie, one of her good friends, she was a chef and her husband's a doctor. Great family. Love them to death. Like, they're practically they literally lived down the street from us for years, and their children are fabulous. They're fabulous. And she said, let me talk to Jeannie about this healing racism. It was an adult seminar class. And I said, I'm taking it. And she said, well, I don't know. She said, I don't know if you can get in. She said, you're only 16. I said, I don't care. Tell them I'm in. So she called him up and she said, my daughter really wants to take this. And if you Google Chicago Tribune, Julia Pell's diversity dinner, the Chicago Tribune came, and, we had Black and white and Asian and Jewish, and we all sat down for dinner and we had a discussion about race and healing racism.
Julia, we need to send you to all these hotspots around the world. That's what needs to happen. We need to get in touch with both Biden and the other guy and just be like, listen, she needs to be our ambassador.
I really have thought, I know this is going to sound crazy, but I'm a proclaimed libertarian, which just means we're for freedom of speech. We're considered swingers. So sometimes we vote Republican, sometimes we vote sometimes we vote Democratic. I always vote for the person that I think is going to do best for the country, which I won't talk about on today because God knows. But I think that it's I wish there was a way that I could present some kind of a platform to gap those middle people in between.
You'd be amazing. I'm telling you.
I really do. Should I just run for Congress? Forget it. Forget the
why not?
politics. I should just. Do you know who I really like? And I want to say this publicly. And I don't care if I get slammed for it, but I like that Kim Klaick.
Okay.
Kim Klaick, is that her name? She's wearing that red dress and she's in Baltimore on the streets. I'm impressed with her. She's young.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
I know she's a conservative. Yeah. She's a conservative, but I will say, I'm impressed. She is so young. She is so smart. She is so outspoken, and she has done her research to try to fix that city. I will say that. Now, I'm not a self-proclaimed, again, I'm a libertarian. I'm for small government and freedom of speech. I don't choose Democrat, Republican, none of that interests me. Yeah. But I'm just really impressed with her marketing. I saw her little video in the red dress in the ghetto, and to me, I thought she's trying to make a statement. She doesn't, I know she's voting for Trump, but she doesn't really seem super political. She just seems like she wants to make a difference. I'm very impressed with her passion. Yeah. And again, with her intelligence. Like, people like that, I'm just like, wow, like, where did you come from?
You could connect with everybody, Julia. Like, I already trust me. I've done this for a living in radio since 2005. Okay. And I know, like, a person that can connect with everybody when I see it. You're amazing. Your energy's
so sweet. I'm genuine. You know what I think when a lot of people, it's funny that you talk about the kind of the young quotes. It's really me just reflecting back to myself what I need to be reminded of. And we all do that, right? If somebody's going through a breakup, they put a little breakup quote on there. But the truth is, what I say is who I am. What I do is who I am. And
very authentic, yeah.
And it's because why would you try to be any other way if you're going to be in the public light?
Exactly.
I mean, people can lie and defame and try to hurt you in any way, but the truth is the truth. And just like a lion, you set it free, and it does its own, you don't.
There's no stopping to it.
But I really wish there was a way. It's funny that you say that I could connect, because I really think there's so many things that we're just missing each other on, that I'm like, oh, if this group knew that, if they knew that, I wish that there was, because at the end, I'm like, we're humans. Like, of course there's of course there's LGBTQ issues. Of course the world is an ugly place sometimes. I'm not saying always. It's also beautiful. It's okay. Yeah. Both sides of the dialect can exist. That's what we learn in therapy. But I think sometimes want this utopian where we're all like hippy dippied out, and there's no evil and there's no darkness. But that's not the truth, because without that juxtaposition of dark with the light, we wouldn't have the light. And it behooves me that people are forgetting this. It's like, you guys, we're never going to live in a utopian. I know everyone thinks Canada is a utopia. It's not. Like, socialism is not utopia. Like, life is hard. If anyone can say this with some truth,
you're right.
I'm deep in the threes, man. I say that without having my.
You have that routine, which is great, right? Great routine.
I love it. I love this age. I've lived a life. It's, things have struck me down, different people or different things, but it's the way that in which you get back up and say, I know myself. I know what's in my heart. No matter what goes on out here, it's in here. They can't take this away.
And there's one thing, Julia, and it's like, I just want to clarify, because maybe some people in my audience will be like, well, she's just a liberal that lives in West Hollywood. What does she know about struggle? Listen, you're a fighter. I just have to say that, like, you are a fighter. Where you are didn't come easy. I know it, because we did it in research, and it's like so awesome to see. Like, you are a tough girl, and we love it. You're a tough, so you fought for it. So you can attest to this. Life is a struggle, and it's how you overcome it. That's life. Absolutely.
Yes, that means so much that you all did your research. I'm often on podcasts, as you know, and I get interviewed a lot. Yeah. And you all have really done your research. Thank you. So that means a lot. A lot of people are like, so what'd you do in the past couple of years? And I'm like, there's a website, super easy. It's got all the articles. It's got different quotes of mine.
No, you're great, but it's true.
It means so much, and just the invitation, it means so much that you're in Florida, and Florida's great. I don't know, it's not in my history or any of my interviews, but my father's sister, he only has one sibling.
Yeah.
His sister grew up or didn't grow up. She when we were growing up, we would go on vacation because she lived there, and I loved Florida. We had a
That's
great time. I
That's
mean,
amazing.
growing up in Chicago, you're freezing, the weather's up and down, and there
But it
we
has
would
cool
go.
people like you. But that's the thing with Chicago. Yeah, everyone complains about the winters, but Julia Pels come from Chicago. That's the
Chicago's
thing.
a great city, though. It is. It's a good city. It's a
Mhm.
good place to raise your kids. You
Yeah.
learn, and it's it's a clean city. I know people are like there's so many people that die there, and it's like it's a lot of gang fights. Unfortunately, it's not
Right.
like people are just getting shot up on Michigan Avenue. We've got a lot of work to do in a lot of cities.
Yeah.
But Chicago in general is a beautiful city. It has a beautiful, rich culture, and I hope we can just again kind of mend the city's back, because I know there's a lot of anger with the Italian Americans after things were ripped down, and I just
There is.
pray that we can all just step back from the anger, because I will tell you, it's really easy to get angry. I can say
I mean,
that.
absolutely. Well, I don't know. Actually, these who was it? Tony Robbins had this guy on one of his podcasts. Our brain is wired 5 times to 1 to find the negatives. So we basically have to 5 times put the effort to find something positive. But like right now, you can say, "Oh, the light in my room is sucks," or you can say, "Look at I'm healthy. Look at my great furniture. Look at my beautiful house." You see, it's just an example, but that's how we operate, unfortunately.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. No, it's hard. It's hard. And it's something I think you can work your whole life with mental health and still be like, really? That's what I did? Like, you're like, that was the decision I made? Or like, you think to yourself, that's who I hung out with, or that's who I was dating, or this is who, like when mistakes or, anything. It's just like, oh, but that's life. Like, nobody's perfect. And I'd love to see some of these, internet trolls who are 9-to-5ers. I'd love to dig into their background.
Oh yeah,
and
they're
call
so
their
brave on the
employers
keyboard.
and be
Yeah.
like, oh, can you cancel this person? Because back in 1982,
Right, they tweeted. Yeah, exactly. And
I never got into the tweeting, which thank God, because now everyone's being persecuted for their tweets. So I never got into the tweeting, although they do a lot of like hating on me on Twitter, but I just don't go on. Like my, publicists, my lawyer, my counselors, like people are like, you just don't go on. You go on for people who want to hear from you. You go on shows that you're being paid to do. You don't stoop to level of loser.
Twitter is a cesspool, unfortunately.
It really has turned evil. And again, I'm shocked by how like these platforms are abused, because that's what it is.
It had this golden era, Twitter, where like in 2009, 8,
Right.
that it was just like the most incredible place in the world before like the trolls found out about it. It was like we discovered like the instant connection to anybody in the world. It was great. But yeah, no.
Well, I watched that show on, I point over there because my TV's over there, but I watched The Social Dilemma.
How is it? Everyone says it's amazing.
It is absolutely incredible. You're hearing from ex-employees of Google, of
Yeah.
Instagram, of Facebook, of Pinterest, which I am a Pinterest lover because it keeps me off Instagram. It keeps me off the hashtagging. It keeps me off the trollers and all that. But a lot of these people were basically saying like, you're the product and you think that you're getting these social media platforms for free. They're stealing your time. They're stealing your brain power. They're stealing your attention. They all want your attention. Is Facebook going to get your time and attention? And I was like, my mind was blown. It really was. And it's not that I didn't know it wasn't good, because I knew psychologically, I'd read a lot of articles on it.
Right.
I couldn't believe what I was seeing.
Oh my God.
Like, I mean, even the fact that if I Google something or if you show interest in something, they're going to show you a video exactly what you typed in. So if you're a Republican, they're going to show you all Republican. If you're a Democrat, they're only going to show, CNN, they're only going to do Fox. It's really scary to think, who's behind the TV. I even got into some, and I'm not a conspiracy theorist at all. Don't think but I did look into, even like the Hillary emails and like Pizzagate. I'm like, what is this? Like, I really like to at least just look like a reporter.
Just to know. Yeah.
Because here's the thing, everybody now, there's a blind accusation on the internet And if there's not, get ready, there will be, because it doesn't matter if nothing protects you today from not being a woman, nothing, which it should. I mean, if you really did something wrong, sure, okay. But I think you should go about it the legal route. I've had to go things about the legal route, and I'm just fine with that. And I think that if something happens and you want the truth to be proven, you get a lawyer and you go to court.
Yeah, unfortunately nowadays you have to be on the offensive. Yeah, absolutely.
It's sad. And most, I have a lot of guy friends, as you probably could imagine. And, they come to me a lot with the blind accusations. And it's like, you ignore
Whatever,
it.
man.
Hire a lawyer or ignore it. Because until you actually have a record, it shouldn't matter.
No, and as you continue to grow your career, it's going to get worse, Julia, but you know that. And
everyone says that to me. They're like, Julia, I can't believe you're so sensitive and you have anxiety about, whatever. And I'm like, you're like, it's just going to get worse. And here's me.
You got this. No, but you got this, Julia. But you know what? It's funny you mentioned that. One of the things in this pandemic, I've cut out the news pretty much. I don't know how much you and Grace are watching the news.
I'm not. We're not.
But listen, like, if you just shut that shit off, all the channels, I don't care what you believe in, that just frees up. So, you get to rediscover records from the 60s. Like, your brain is just, you have all this like new space.
Yeah.
So to your point, absolutely.
I love that. I don't watch the news. I'll every once in a while get on different Instagram, just a few little ones that I know, and see like what's going on.
Definitely.
And I'm bummed for the state of affairs in general. Like, I wish we could have peace. I know, I live in Glendale, California, and so it's a lot of Armenians here, and the Armenians and the Greeks, one time.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that. They're
getting assaulted again by the Turks. And
so educate us, because I'm not even gonna lie to you. Like, we're oblivious to this. We Americans are so stuck up in our own shit right now. Yeah, and it's just the truth. We think we're the only ones that matter.
Right.
The election's happening, the pandemic's happening, and like there's probably more abuse in the world going on right now than ever, and we're not seeing it. So
I know.
Tell us a little bit about this Armenia thing. Educate us, Julia. Tell us.
Well, I don't know everything, but I have a girl that I communicate with directly. I think she is from California. I think she lives in Glendale, but she's over with her family right now. They're in Armenia. And so what's happening, and I don't know the exact locations, but it's on my phone. And if you guys go to Queer Comedian, there's all the information in the bio. I'm just pulling it up right now. And her name or her handle, and you really should follow her. There's all kinds of support here, but it's basically what's going on is the Turks are just coming after Armenia again. And the problem is Armenia is too small of a country. They don't have the kind of infantry. So we as Americans don't understand this.
So what do they want out of Armenia, the Turks? Do they just want the land or like
they just want to take over? They tried the genocide, essentially.
Right.
It's the ethnic cleansing, was back in the day. Now, I don't know exactly what they want, but it's not good. They're in there in droves, and their infiltrees are in, and they're just taking off. I mean, they're imagine if we just started getting bombed, like literally.
Why is the media not covering that? That's my point. That's fucking bullshit.
I would like to know that, because I mean, when I talk to my Armenian friends, like who are outside with their flags, and I like to support them being Greek and living here, and even if I wasn't Greek, and we have a lot of conversations, and they're like, our country's just being taken over. Like, you don't always know why. These people are very uncivil. They're mentally ill. Kind of a common theme, mentally ill, and they're coming in so quickly with so much infiltrate, and just the Armenians just can't keep up with it. So they're trying to just kind of survive it. And why we're not covering it on the news, actually, it did disturb me. I was curious why we're so self-centered about these two white men.
Yeah.
Sorry, and I don't use identity politics, but I love how it's like, let's spend all of our time debating two people who we don't really much care for.
Right.
Why don't we think about, okay, vote what you're going to vote, and then let's think about how to be up and at, or, because the country, I feel like, is so divided and so divisive and so angry, and and it's like, take that energy it is what it is for now.
Put it into something we can all agree on.
Right. Vote who you're going to vote for and then take your little ball of energy and make something positive. Because if you're not creating, you're destroying. And that's negative. That's hate. That's nothing. You know,
Julia, what are we gonna do with you, Julia? You are, we got to do something with your talent.
I love you. You're the sweetest.
No, I'm not kidding.
No, I'm just in the world thinking there's so much we could do to bridge each other and to be here for each other and to stop the negative. There's no reason for it.
Yeah.
We're all going to die one day. So let's make this life beautiful.
Definitely.
Not a Tony Robbins thing, but that's how.
Yeah. No, for sure. Oh my God. Listen, we can brainstorm
You're
a
great.
bunch of shit.
You're great.
No, Julie, absolutely. I do want to ask you a few things, though. So about your comedy, you mentioned the Rule of Threes, which was a hilarious. I've seen it; it's great. For a comic, is it scary to have to make fresh material, Julia? Like you see the Rolling Stones, you play the same shit repeatedly. So it's like at some point as a comic, are you like, I've done this shit a million times. I'm done with it. Like.
Do I feel like, is it scary for me to make new material? No.
Yeah, or to start playing the same hits, like you know what I mean, like to start getting repetitive. Or not really.
I feel like every day is new material. I feel
Okay.
like being alive is new material. So, and people always say to me like, well, don't you write out your sets? And I'm like,
That's awesome.
most of it is improvised. And they're like, that's
fucking
considered
great.
the hardest part of the craft. And I'm like,
This is
if
easy.
I'm a weirdo, then I don't know. Cause I genuinely don't like writing. And people are like, you're a comedian. How do you not like to write? Well, I have a reading comprehension disorder. So I have to read things usually 2 or 3 times to completely understand. It's not dyslexia. It's never really been specified, but I have to read a paragraph a few times. And it's not because I'm stupid. My IQ is quite good. And my EQ, emotional intelligence, is also pretty good. It's just, I've never been good at math, and I've never been great at the reading comprehension. Vocab's off the charts. Shocker, right? But, vocab was like,
I think you're a genius, actually. I think you're a secret genius. It's so fucking stupid. No, but like, it's ridiculous. Like, this school systems, I was talking about the other day.
I can't believe, I know.
Because we're all raised to be in these fucking boxes. So it's like, you can be a fish, and if you go to a school that teaches you how to climb a tree, then the fish is stupid. No,
Right.
the fucking fish is to swim. You know what I mean?
I agree. It's all how we do it. Yes. And it's how we've, trained the media and society to only look at one thing. And then if you're doing the other thing, people's accounts are just getting shut down. It's crazy. I'm like, is the world just going to explode? So anyway, back to new material. I want to stay focused. So I don't find it hard to make new material. Sometimes I will tell you, I get nervous trying out new material because I think, oh no, they're so used to me doing this one thing.
Yeah.
I don't want them to think that I'm not on their side or that I'm not, whatever. Because I like to push the envelope. I'm sure you've seen it, read about it, figured that out.
But you do it intellectually too. I can see that. I can see being like, if I was you, my scare would probably be, are they fucking gonna get it? Because most people are like retarded. I'm sorry. You know what I mean? Like you're a really like high level, and that would be my fear.
Truth, yes. I think they're going to take it the wrong way. And I don't mean because I'm on a high level.
No. That's me saying it. You're modest. You're a girl of the people.
I just hope they don't take this the wrong way. And then it's spun out of context like like Twitter does. And then next thing you know, you're a
cancel her.
Well, I'm always canceled, but not really. But haters, the canceling, especially in, I don't know if this happens, I wonder, to comedians as much in Florida, but in LA, it's like, I'm going to be a social justice warrior. I'm perfect. I'm going to cancel everyone who I just don't personally like.
Yeah,
and it's
that's
not that the person has actually done anything wrong, right? It's just, they don't like you. So then we'll just call you something. We'll call you a racist or a rapist or a loser.
I'll try to cancel you, yeah.
And it's like, you have every right not to like me. That's fine. But these losers, these mentally ill crippled, I mean, and I hate saying it because I've struggled with mental ill, but people who are just so mentally ill that they're trying to destroy other human beings, you need to see a doctor for that.
Like, we've all fucked up. We've all fucked up, and we just didn't have it on Twitter. Like, we've all done crazy shit. What are you talking about? Exactly,
right.
Jules.
And people just need to stay in your own lane. That's my biggest. Stay in your own lane and be positive, because you know what? There's so many people hurting. The last thing you want to do is create more hurt for another person. It's just mean. It's just mean. It's wrong.
Julia, do you mind sharing with us? I know you've told this story a million times, but it's just it's so fascinating. The story about like, you were with this guy, with your ex-boyfriend in Ohio. 3 years. I know you've said the story a million. This is your greatest
Okay,
gift.
I'm coming out. Yeah, 3
Th-
years.
This is
3
your
years.
yeah. This is your, whatever, your hit song that you play at the end of, you gotta play it.
Coming out story. Yeah.
The
So
coming out song.
Ryan,
Tell it
we
to us,
were-
because you were with this poor guy, probably loved you, with this
I loved him.
beautiful,
Actually.
beautiful
I loved
girl.
him. I mean, we were together. We met. I was in a band, and he was friends with bandmates, and I was like best friends with all the guys. He was also friends with the girl who was in the band with me. So we met her there, and I had dated men my whole life. I had kissed women. I had fooled around with women a little bit, but I had never dated women. I could never really see anything in society that was like,
You were
oh,
the
yeah.
all-American
All
cheerleader.
American girl. I was a cheerleader. I was a ballerina. Again, I was, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Hello, thank you very much. Please and thank you. Like proper, we went to church, Greek church, very respectable family.
Conservative.
We had to get our undergraduate degrees. That was a requirement in the family. Like you did need to get your college degree. I mean, it wasn't forced, but it was very encouraged. And you're respectful, and you don't do evil, malevolent, or illegal things.
Right. So when you came out to this guy, was this like one of the hardest moments of your life?
It was slow because
it was slow. You didn't pull out the
kind of slow because we were together for a long time, and it kind of slowly started to come at like in my consciousness that maybe I'm gay.
It wasn't
and so I didn't want to just bust out with, but it slowly started to happen. And so finally I told him, and he was very embarrassed and very upset, but he also was admitted to seeing another girl and said, I've been seeing this other girl that I'm working with up in Columbus. Because at the time I was in Athens, and on the weekends we were both seeing other women. Yeah. I was seeing a woman. He was seeing a woman. I was very sad, but then, we parted ways. And then I was with this woman for a good 6 months. Mm-hmm. And it was a weird time. It was coming out to my family.
Oh my God, weird time. Absolutely. Yeah.
My family was like, it's a phase. This is a joke. Like come on, you're not Katie Lang. Get over it. Like that's what the 90s was. You know what I mean? Or the early 2000s.
People forget that even in like 2004 or 5, it wasn't like it is today. Absolutely.
Not at all. Right. And it wasn't cool to be, gay or trans. It wasn't like a hip, and I'm not trying to downplay it now, but it is a different acceptance level in my opinion than it was back then. My parents, I even remember thinking, oh my God, is my dad gonna not love me the same? Like, a lot of my high school friends wanted me to sit down and talk about it like a GD TED talk. I mean, it was weird. It was, I remember psychologically just being like, why can't this just be like dating a guy? Why am I doing like interviews about this? This is weird. Yeah. And then to top it off, I'm dating this woman who keeps referring to herself as a dyke, which again, it's like, I don't care. Are you taking the word back? I don't know. But she seems to be kind of spewing this self-hatred onto herself, saying like, oh, her dyke truck, and she's got hairy legs. And I'm like, I don't care. I love you.
Labels,
I don't know what your weird homophobia is, but I don't have it. And then one day, she just sat me up on the bathroom counter, and I was like, oh, good, we're going to make out. And he was my first girlfriend. I was so happy. I don't remember that. I mean, I was so, it was like, you forever have wanted a freaking cherry popsicle, and you never got one. And then somebody was like, you can have it.
How does that feel, that kind of freedom to be yourself for the first time in your fucking life, Julia? Can you describe it? Jesus. Wow.
I can. It's happened to me a couple times in my life. 2 or 3 times in my life, where a few times when I won my court case, I fell to my knees and cried, and I felt like free again for the first time in a long time. If you do research about it, I'm sure you've seen that on the internet. But
so we're not gonna go about it. But basically, it's a hater slander that just tried to attack your character in the most.
Yeah, and I mean, there's been exactly that tried to attack me and blah blah blah, and I won the court case, and there have been a few times in my life that certain things have happened where coming out was one of them, winning the court case was another one, just where I have been like, oh my gosh, like, so thank God, Thank
Yeah.
God. Like I'm free again. And the feeling is hard to describe. It's almost like being reborn, but I don't mean like a born again Christian.
No, like you're evolved. Like you're Julia 2.0, Julia
Yeah.
3.0.
Yes,
Yeah.
every time like something really kind of knocks me
Yeah.
down when I get
Like
back
I
up.
survived it and I'm better.
And it's
yeah,
wiser. You know not to stick
Hell
your
yeah.
hand in that certain fire again.
amazing. Yeah, no, that's experience, that's wisdom, that's all
But
that.
I have to finish what happened. So I'm with her and she says, I'm on the couch and she says, I don't think we should be together anymore. And I was like, why? I'm racking my brain thinking, why? I mean, I was at that time 21.
Mhm.
So I'm thinking, what did I do? And she goes, well, you're too pretty and you're too skinny and your hair's too long and you wear makeup. You're not a real lesbian.
What? Okay.
And so then it was like, she put me back.
Fuck yeah.
She tried to put me back in the closet. Yeah.
That's
And
crazy.
it was.
You don't
It was.
think, I mean, for those of us that are not, that are straight or whatever, we think that there's all this acceptance on the other side, and maybe there's the same hatred and the same jealousy and the same in a different way. That's interesting.
Absolutely. There's a lot of things that aren't talked about in the LGBTQ community that need to be talked about. Like lesbians are in the #1 bracket for domestic violence. We don't talk about these things
That's
because
interesting.
we're trying to create this narrative of a female utopia that does not exist.
Yeah.
We're human beings. We're not our identity politics. That's not where our love comes or our strength comes, or that's not, yes, these things, sure, I have blonde hair and white skin, gay or da-da-da, but our identity politics should never be the thing that we are fueled from. It should be our hearts. It should be our morale. It should be our brain and our psyche. It shouldn't be, well, I'm a gay woman, so listen up. It shouldn't be that.
Amazing. Wow.
You're great.
No, Julia,
So
you've been so
lovely.
good with your time, but let me ask you some music questions. Bring it up to
Yeah.
theme. For a music.
Yeah, I love the music. Yes.
What's the song you put on before you get up on the Laugh Factory? Big show. There's a big shot in the audience, and you're like, all right, Julia, let's kick some ass
Oh
today.
my gosh. Honestly, a lot of rap.
Really? Nice.
Yes. It depends on which.
Gangster?
I
You go
hate to
gangster
pick
rap?
What?
You go gangster rap?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
I grew up with a lot of rap in Chicago, a lot of dirty, hard rap. Like it wasn't like, just dancing music. Like I really I also, and I'm known for this, I do like Eminem a lot. And I appreciate
He's great.
him and his music. He's got a lot of stuff that he's gone through, and people hated on him for years, and he's like one of the best artists out there.
Yeah, he's amazing. He's amazing, Julia. What song do you play when you are having a beautiful road trip with Grace?
Okay, I know.
Wind blowing on your hair. Just a beautiful day.
I love anything from the 60s. Like I love Joni Mitchell, Janis Joplin.
Wow.
Oh gosh.
Of
The
course.
Rolling Stones. Simon and Garfunkel, Jefferson Airplane. I love the oldies. I miss that time of music.
I love it.
Woodstock was a gorgeous time.
The other day we had on the show Judy Collins, the folk singer, and she told some crazy Janis Joplin stories. Like I'm like, yeah, like she said, she was drinking with Janis at the Troubadour, and Janis whispered in her ear, one of us is gonna make it, and it's not gonna be me. Like shit. I'm like, this is fucking music history, Judy. Thanks for sharing this shit. Like, wow, yeah. She was troubled. She was troubled too, Janis. Rest
I
in peace.
know. And see, a lot of people, they need that mental support, and more
Yeah.
people in the industry need to get it so they don't end up hurt and or dead, because it does happen. They need, we need that mental and emotional support, because if you're going to keep putting yourself out there and out there and out there, it's a lot of giving, and you're not necessarily getting input, you're more doing exput.
Absolutely, Julia. What was your first concert, Julia?
My first concert was Dave Matthews Band.
Okay. Very white
I
girl,
liked
Chicago. Yeah.
It was
very nice.
outside. It was at the World Theater. It was like a 20-minute drive from my parents' house. And
Yeah.
it was out in this vast kind of middle of nowhere, kind of on a hill.
In the summer, beautiful summer night, probably.
Gorgeous. I've been to some of the most gorgeous venues, like the Gorge. I love the Gorge.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Just out on the West Coast, there's some beautiful things to see. Red Rocks. I mean,
Red Rocks, yeah.
I've seen it all. In high school, I toured with Fish. You remember the band
Nice.
Fish?
Are
I
you
did
kidding
the
me? I love this. You
Midwest
toured with
tour.
them? That's awesome.
I did. I mean, not with them, but friends.
You
and
followed
we
them.
went. And we
Okay.
followed them in
Awesome.
the Midwest. When I was like
Awesome.
17, my mom allowed it, and my father was like,
You know what the thing is, Julia? We need to have you back on the show in a few months. Kind of like catch up.
yes,
Kind of like
time.
you need to be a friend of the show. It's a select group of people. We have Mark Goodman, the original MTV BJ, comes regularly, talks to me. We need to put you in that bucket because I could talk to you for days.
You're so sweet. I know. Cut me off anytime.
No, it's all good, Julia. Let me ask about. Let me finish with this. Let me ask you, like, what are you doing stand up again a little bit slowly? What's going on with your shows right now? What's up with that?
Well, my show, Killer Unicorns, is still very alive and well and doing good.
Yeah.
We're going to be starting up, I think, in November after
Okay.
we get the green light. So I'm excited about that. I'm really looking forward to putting some top talent on there that might be a surprise to everybody, someone that they may not have thought of before. And we're doing a lot of freedom of speech. We're doing a lot of uncensored stuff. So it's time for people to be able to come in. And if they want to talk about, you know, the left or the right or the middle or up or down, they're allowed to talk about it because there needs to be a
I
place.
can't wait for this election to be over, Julia. Just
I know, me too, right?
fine.
Same thing. Goodbye. Let's get back to the funny. That's
Yeah,
where
exactly.
we need to be.
Because a lot of the noise is because of that. So let's like.
Oh yeah. And we're so excited to just, I mean, I can't wait. The clubs, I don't think are, I think it's mostly they're doing these outdoor social distancing.
Outdoors, yeah.
And we're making it work. It's
Yeah.
kind of weird. So, I mean, I'm pursuing other things, you know, for money and, you know, of course, voiceover, commercial
Right.
acting. But, you know, hopefully we'll be able to do something with the shows again and it'll pick
Absolutely.
up. Because it's been a challenge, obviously, with the dirty microphones.
Can't wait. There you go. Perfect, Julia. Have a
Thank
great
you
rest of your
so
evening.
much. Have the
All right.
best day in Florida, and we'll talk soon.
Talk soon, Jules. Bye bye.
Bye.